Hockey Town, this is Sergei Fedorov, wishing I could be there tonight for the final game at Joe Louis with all of you, my teammates and former Red Wings, to celebrate so many great years and memories. Have a great night. I look forward to seeing everyone soon.
Well, what an unbelievable run it's been. I was only here for end of the years, but it was spectacular. You know, my family would come and enjoy the atmosphere here. Our fans who set a standard for us of excellence. They expected us to be great each and every night, and we're honest if we weren't, and because we won all the time. But great people, great building, lots of winning, and the Illich family made it beyond special.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there with you tonight. Going to miss the Joe like all of you. They asked me for my favorite memory. Winning the Stanley Cup in 1997, definitely a highlight of my memories here at Joe Louis Arena with that group of guys. And if I had to pick one specific game, I'd probably pick a game everybody remembers, March 26th, 1997. That's when our team became a team. So going to miss the Joe. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Wayne Gretzky. I just wanted to say my greatest thrill in hockey was the first night I played in Joe Louis Arena, Gordie Howe's last All-Star game. I was a 19-year-old youngster who had one of the most special nights of my life to be beside the greatest hockey player who ever lived. I'll never forget that moment, the ovation and the applause that Gordie Howe had. I want to congratulate the Illich family and, of course, the Detroit Red Wings. I'm sure your new home is going to be beautiful. Thank you.
So we've heard from several of the Red Wing players here tonight, but now it's time to hear from the greatest ever behind the bench. From his legendary status with Montreal, our next speaker was hired as Red Wing coach on June 16th, 1993, and immediately turned the Wings into Stanley Cup contenders once again. The Hockey Hall of Fame inductee led Detroit to the best record in the West his first year. The following season, the Wings reached their first Stanley Cup final since 1966. In 1997, he led the Wings to their first championship in 42 years, and he did it again in 1998 and in 2002. In all, he spent 9 seasons in Detroit. He's the last NHL coach to win back-to-back Stanley Cups. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your head coach from 1993 to 2002, Mr. Scotty Bowman.
Thank you, Ken. I'll try to be as brief as I can. I may ramble on a bit, but a special day for everybody coming back to the Joe. And I can say the first time I came here, Wayne Gretzky just mentioned it, I was a coach of the All-Star game. I took some criticism for putting Gordie Howe on the team. He was from Hartford at the time. But it was one of the greatest things I ever did as a coach, to put Gordie Howe on the list. Gordie came back to, I think, the loudest ovation I've ever heard in a sports arena for one person. And he ended up in the third period getting an assist on the winning goal. So not bad for a guy 51 years old. But my career took a good turn when I met Marion and Mike Illich in 1993, and they said we needed somebody to come to Detroit. The team was very strong at the time. They wanted somebody with experience, and they felt that I could do it in a couple of years. So I was interested in coming to Detroit for about 2 years. I stayed 15. I coached for 9 years. And I owe everything to Marion and Mike Illich for that first invitation. I'll try to give you some memories of mine and yours. I brought along Barry Smith with me from Pittsburgh. Barry stayed even after me. Dave Lewis was in place. And we coached as a group of 3 for 9 years in a row. And we had some ups and downs, like was mentioned. Big disappointment in 1995. But with Barry and Dave beside me, it was a wonderful trio. And then I want to honor the man who actually asked Mr. Ilitch to interview me, Jim Devellano. And we worked with Ken Holland and Jim Nill. What a front office for a coach to work with. And you know, when you're a coach in this league or any sport, you don't get an opportunity when you're doing the job to thank the players, how great they were. And boy, when I run through all these players, I think it started around 96. We made a controversial trade to get Brendan Shanahan, who probably was a good piece of the puzzle that we needed. And in 1997, winning the Stanley Cup and having on that team Vladimir Konstantinov and I think as a coach, when you have Nick Lidstrom and Vladimir Konstantinov on the ice, not much the other team could do. And then Larry Murphy came along, unfortunately, with the accident for Laddie. And then we had to survive with losing players. Yuri Fisher was another player we lost later on. But then your memories would be in the next season or even that season, the Russian Five. How I don't know how it happened. I know we had 3 great Russian players, Vladimir Konstantinov, Sergei Fedorov, and Slava Kozlov. But then getting Igor Larionov and Slava Fetisov, I was so afraid to play them because they were so good, I didn't want the other team to figure out what they were doing, because we didn't know what they were doing. But they were something. And, you know, when you're looking at your coaching and you're wondering, can you imagine this organization had Steve Yzerman and Nick Lidstrom for more than 20 years with one team? I don't... I remember my very first year I came here, and Steve had recovered from a knee injury and had a decent season my first year, and I was thrilled that he was able to play again. And I remember talking to Mike Ilitch after the game, after the season rather, and he said, "Scotty, you haven't seen anything yet." And that was in 1993, and I saw it for the next 9 years. So we were fortunate. You had one member of the grind line with Darren McCarty, Joey Koser, Chris Draper, and Kirk Maltby. They were, you know, the players on our team, there was so many All-Stars and so many Hall of Fame players. But you have to look at the role players that we were able to get and keep in the lineup, and they stayed with the team. And I mean, you know, you fans were so great that you saw players that no other city could see. Can you remember Dino Ciccarelli in front of the net? And then I remember one year we had a scout from Sweden, and Dino had moved on, and he said, "I have a replacement, Thomas Holmstrom." And Thomas, a quick story, Thomas came in and he wanted a high number. And I said, "No, Thomas, we can't give anybody higher than 91. He wanted a high number. I don't know why. And then we bickered back and forth, and he said, "Well, give me 98. And I said, "No, I'll give you 96 because that's the year you'll be going home next year." But he outlasted a lot of people. And then, you know, to win 3 Stanley Cups, and you imagine Mike Vernon, 97, Chris Osgood, 98, Dominic Hasek, 2002. I don't think a team is going to win a cup with those 3 different goalies, but we did it here and here. And then we were interested in extending a player's contract for a couple of years. I remember Kenny Holland made the deal, and he said, we're going to get a player for a couple of years. And it was from Chicago, one of our good rivals. And when he signed Chris Chelios, and Chris Chelios, I think he lasted 10 years. And, you know, on the 2000 Cup team, coaching a team with 9 Hall of Fame players and 1 more to come, Pavel Datsyuk, there'll be never a team in the history of the league that will ever duplicate that team. And I just want to say at the end here, our team doctors, the longevity of Dr. Finley started in 1961. We had all our training staff. Some of them are still here now, and I've been gone for so long. But, you know, it's a special place, Detroit, because the same people keep coming back. You walk in from the parking lot, you know, you run into the maintenance man, Tom Schlang, you see Sheldon Newman, you see Al Sabatka. I mean, it's just somewhere that you wouldn't stay here, and you wouldn't stay here if you didn't like it and you weren't welcome. And I want to say to you fans, you made this franchise what it is today, and I have a lot of confidence you're going to support. What a way to think about this team with a great win today and going into a brand new building and just turning the page and working on the next 25 years. Thank you very much.